Donna, we'll just take afterwards. After we get it, we can stand there while we're doing it. Take pictures. Then we'll go out.
All right, good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order at this time, and I'll have our clerk read out actions taken in closed session.
Yes, at the October 29th, 2012 meeting, the board granted a request for a 60-day unpaid leave through December 31st, 2012, due to a family emergency. At tonight's meeting, during closed session on a 7-0 vote, the board approved a request for an additional unpaid leave without benefits through February 25th, 2013, or sooner, to a classified manager. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And please rise for the invocation to be led by Trustee Bill J.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are so honored to have the 3 campuses, and we thank you for providing them. As we start this new year, we're so lucky to have such a fine student body, faculty, and staff. As board members, help us to make good decisions and know the needs of the 3 institutions that we represent. Hopefully we'll do what is right. Please watch over all of us. Again, thank you for our many blessings. Amen.
Okay. And now join Trustee Dave Lang in our pledge to the flag.
Please join me as we pay our respects to the flag of this great nation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and the next item is resolutions and commendations, of which we have none, so we will pass over that and go to public comments. We have 2 requests from people who would like to speak. Bob Cosgrove, Saddleback College.
Thank you, President Pedberg. I left on your desk there copies of a picture of the recent seminar, Great Teacher Seminar, and I'll say a little bit of my public report at the end of the meeting. But I did want to mention something. I rarely do this, but I recommend as mandatory reading for all administrators and faculty this book, The College Fear Factor, How Students and Professors Misunderstand One Another. And it focuses on community colleges. And while much of the information contained in the book we already know, it refocuses our understanding, and it really is something that would help as a kind of philosophical foundation the Student Success Initiative that we have undertaken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Don Fishbeck from Laguna Niguel.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Board of Trustees. My name is Don Fishbeck, and I'm the husband of Monica Nelson. She is the Student Health Center nurse here, has been for over 10 years. And she's been out with awaiting a claim, conclusion to investigation that's been going on for 3.5 months now. We received that conclusion on Friday, and she has her appeal that I'd like to deliver to the board tonight, per the directions in the conclusion. And that's all I have. So I could just pass these, give these to someone to pass out to you.
Please give them to our our assistant, Grace Garcia. She'll take them.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, we are now at reports, and we'll start with board reports. Trustee Jay.
No board report this evening, Madam Chairman.
Trustee Jamal.
Very briefly, Madam President, sorry to learn of the passing of your husband. All of us support you very much, and I'm glad to see you're attending the meeting this evening. I'll be doing a tour of the IVC tomorrow with President Roquemore, and then completing a tour of Saddleback in the next couple of weeks. So I look forward to reporting on that next meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Milchiker?
Okay, thank you. I echo Trustee Jamal's sincere condolences to my friend and colleague Nancy Padberg on the passing of her husband Tom, a great supporter of Saddleback College, particularly the football program. Took many movies of the football program. Also several other passings these last few weeks. ESL professor Carol Bander's husband Myron, physics professor at ECI passed away, and college president Glenn Rockmore's father, a proud World War II veteran, passed away just several days ago. So it's just really incredible that you're both here now after what you've gone through, but thank you for being here. Thank you for your resilience and for your dedication. I wanted to go over very briefly some of the incredible number of in-service or faculty development meetings I went to this past week. I was there all day Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I just have to say that they were wonderful. And we have incredible faculty, incredible staff. There's no way I can mention everything, but I'm going to briefly try to just mention a few of the things I attended. The IVC's President Welcome with Craig Justice speaking, Kathy Schmeidler, Academic Senate President and Biology Professor Extraordinaire, Dennis Gordon, RVC Classified Senate President, Thomas Thien, IVC Student Body President, Will Glenn. I went to his presentation last year on the student shooters for protecting our student and campus, which is really, really important. I was very happy when I came back on the Saddleback College campus to see the trailer park was gone, and the beautiful green, what we used to call our Harvard Yard. And I think it's better than the Harvard Yard because we're going to have benches for students to sit on. It's going to be a beautiful place, and it really looked better already. Some of the other meetings I went to, Rebecca Knapp, a professor of business science, talked about apps and social media and meeting your students where they are. Internships at the Saddleback College Arboretum Trail. There's going to be a 2.6-mile Arboretum Trail around Saddleback College, complete with native shrubs and shade trees. It's going to be beautiful and a good place for students to work, having classes meet there, and have our horticulture people and our fine art people help to create a really wonderful place for students and staff to gather after meetings. Full-time faculty networking with Bob Cosgrove, technology tips and tools and techniques with Jane Horlings, Geek Report with Jim Gaston, Saddleback Faculty Association and luncheon, a good fellowship and good food. Let's see, just a few other things that were just incredible. Fundraising 101 with Don Rickner, Todd Burnett's faculty breakfast, iPad exchange with Valerie Senior, and Sherpa with Bob Bermucci. And we are really doing incredible things on our campus for our students, and it's really gratifying to see the good work that's being done here. And I recommend these meetings to everyone. They're edifying, and not only that, they're fun. So thank you.
Trustee Prendergast.
Yeah. Also went to the Faculty Association luncheon here at Saddleback. That looked very well attended, and as President Burnett will testify, everyone looked really relaxed and rested and ready to come back, and so that was good. Also, I'm looking forward to the Invention Convention this Saturday. Be the first one in which one of my daughters is not entered, so I guess I can judge openly. And then also looking forward to the second game of the President's Cup on the 30th. I missed the first one, unfortunately, but I will be there ready to go. So that's all.
Great, thank you. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for their sympathies and flowers and in the difficult time that we went through. Also, my husband we're setting up a scholarship in his name, and the second game of the President's Cup, the proceeds from that gate will be donated to that scholarship. Thank you, President Burnett and Dean Tony Leopold. So everybody come out and buy a ticket. So anyway, we will have a nice scholarship honoring his name. And I am told that Assemblywoman Diane Harkey adjourned the legislature in his memory today or tonight or whenever they close. All right, next, Trustee Wright.
Thank you. Again, I echo the comments of our two board members. Condolences to you, Nancy, and then also to Glenn, loss of your father. I remember when my father passed away, I was on active duty and wasn't expecting it. I was privileged to attend also a couple of in-service activities at Saddleback College, the President's Faculty Breakfast, the Curriculum Open Forum, and several other events that day. And then in the evening, I went to IVC and attended their textbook affordability. It was an interesting session put on by Follett. And then also there was a light buffet, which I enjoyed, and then the full-time, part-time, and adjunct faculty meeting I attended. So as was said, we have wonderful faculty, wonderful administrators. We have a wonderful staff. So I thank them for all that they've done. I was told, too, I stopped by my old division, and enrollments numbers are good, particularly in the Math, Science, Engineering division. I might mention that there's a science lecture series coming up that is put on by the Math, Science, Engineering division. The first lecture will be on February the 1st. It's called the Richard McCullough Lecture, so that's very special to honor a former colleague, Dr. Rich McCullough. And then finally, I'm looking forward this weekend to attending a trustee workshop up in Sacramento. Thank you.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, I also just wanted to echo the condolences that were mentioned by Trustee Milchiker to various folks, including, of course, Tom Padberg. And that's it for board report tonight.
Okay. Next, we'll have the Chancellor's report.
Okay. This week, or actually last week, the governor presented his proposed 2013-14 budget. And we're very encouraged by what we've heard from him. The details aren't available yet, so we can't make calculations on exactly what we'll get from it. We know that it isn't a lot, but what it is a little bit, plus it's not a cut. And we've gone through so many years of really massive cuts to education, and particularly community colleges. And so we're thinking now that the governor, with his statement that he's going to balance the budget for the next 4 years, and he's going to give a high priority to K-12 in higher education, that maybe we've rounded the corner of all the terrible cuts, and we can look forward to some future good years. This next week I'll be in Sacramento along with Trustee Milchiker and Terry Flugeman, District Government Relations Director. And we'll be there for the legislative conference with Community College League of California. And we're going to be over at the Capitol discussing veterans issues and also giving the legislators some information that we about us that came out in the socioeconomic study of our district. We have 15 meetings set up that we're going to have there. And I'd also call attention to 2 discussion items tonight. One will be the next in our series, the Student Success Task Force recommendations. This one to align course offerings to meet student needs. And the second presentation will be by our college presidents and the foundation presidents on their proposals to organize the foundations in such a way that can move them into being much more successful and raising more money. So.
Okay. And we're doing something a little bit different with our agenda tonight. We're asking that the presidents give their report following the Chancellor's report. We'll start with IVC. President Rockmore.
Okay. And President Padberg, my condolences as well. Well, with the school shootings and those kinds of things, we look at the amount of staffing that we have to protect our campuses, and we realize that there's just no way to cover everything at all times. We are familiar with neighborhood watch and community-based policing methodologies, of course. These are safety measures that are designed to assist our police departments because it is impossible to be at all places at all time. The same is true at Irvine Valley College. And as employees of the district, we share in the safety and security of Irvine Valley College. Well, on Monday, January 14th, 5 IVC classified employees sprang into action to secure college property that had been stolen from a college van while it was being loaded for an off-campus event. And for this reason, I would like to personally recognize our outreach specialist, Ann Akers, IVC police officer, Tony Mancini, executive assistant, Angela Mahaney, senior lab technician, Mark Peterson, and senior accounting specialist, Dennis Gordon, for remembering that we all play a role in the first line of defense in keeping our campus secure. Their swift responsiveness to an emerging situation actually led to an arrest. So on behalf of the district and Irvine Valley College, I offer our thanks to these employees for their quick reaction. And I would like to give them a very quick certificate of recognition for their efforts. It says in commendation for their swift response to an incident on January 14th, 2013, which helped ensure the safety and security of our campus. So if they could stand, and I will just, as quickly as I can.
And President Rockmore, if you could just introduce them individually to us.
Yes, Dennis Gordon, Angela Mahaney, Ann Akers, Mark Peterson, and our officer, Mancini.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Does that conclude your report?
Yes.
Okay. Saddleback College President, Todd Burnett.
Thank you, Madam President. And also condolences to President Rockmore and also to President Nancy Padberg. Tom Padberg was truly, without a doubt, our #1 cheerleader at Saddleback College, and he will be enormously missed by everybody, not only just in athletics in our community, but our whole college. So we're very honored and thrilled to be able to start an endowment and a scholarship in his name, because he very much deserves it. So once again, our sincere condolences. With that, we had in-service last week, which was enormously successful. Thank you for the trustees that were able to make it all the events. It is very important, and we enjoy having you there. With that, at the faculty breakfast that Trustee Wright and Trustee Milchiker was able to see, but the other trustees were not, I wanted to give you a copy of that presentation because there's some interesting, some important information contained. As you know, at Saddleback College, we do the faculty breakfast. The two presidents of the Academic Senate and myself host that breakfast, and we have a lot of agenda items that go on, and that's what this is a copy of. But we also do a similar type of presentation. We do a part-time faculty dinner, and then we do a classified lunch because we can't fit everybody in one room. So we actually do it that way, and it works out real nicely. With that, I wanted to pay a particular attention to page 14. So if you turn to page 14 that was sent out in front of you there, what's given there is an agenda, what's coming up over the next year. For 2013, I thought it'd be really important for each of you to just read some of the major steps along the way over the next year, what we're going to be dealing with on our budget review process regarding our strategic planning, our accreditation, and all the elements that are frankly related to it. So it just gives you an idea of what is coming up over the next 12 months. I thought was important for that. Finally, for tonight, I'm very pleased to introduce a very special person at Saddleback College in our district, and I'd love to have her stand if she could. And this is one of our nursing professors, Phyllis Kucharski. Phyllis, please stand. Phyllis. And I haven't even said why we're having you stand yet, Phyllis, so we'll get you a double applause here. Phyllis was named the 2012 Educator of the Year by the National Organization for Associate Degree Nursing Foundation.
Wow. Great. Stand up.
The Foundation Educator of the Year Award recognizes overall excellence in associate degree nursing education and is the highest award given by the foundation. A little bit about Nurse Kucharski. She joined Saddleback in 2001 and teaches medical, surgical nursing, lecture, and clinical community health nursing, and pediatrics clinical. Kucharski served as an advisor for nursing students and helped increase the retention rate of the program to 93.5%. In addition to her role at Saddleback, she's the oncology educator for Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach, where she teaches several nursing oncology courses. We're very proud of you, Phyllis.
Yes.
Congratulations. And we have a little Saddleback College commendation for you as well.
Phyllis, do you have any family here you wanted introduced? Oh, okay, great.
Coworkers stand, because without them I could not do the, we're a team. That's what I want to say. We're a team. We work together, and I'm so blessed. Thank you, God.
All right, could you stand, please, if you're her coworkers? Great. Wonderful. Wow. That's a lot of coworkers. Okay, is that your report? Oh, okay. Could tell for sure. Okay, we are now at board requests for reports, and we have 3, and I believe both are by Trustee Jamal. Did you want to present those, Chancellor? Or?
Do you want to
We'll
present
let
them?
All right, Tim, Jamal will let you present it since you asked for these reports. Start with the first one, please.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. Let's go with mental health services. I am requesting a report on the mental health services the colleges and ATEP provide to students, faculty, and staff. I would like the report to include what measures are taken to identify, assist, and properly educate and treat individuals who may be suffering from mental, behavioral illnesses, or substance abuse. There are obvious reasons this report is being requested now. I think it's always timely to request what we're doing in the area of mental health services. So that's the nature of the first request.
So you want to know there's
Do you want me to
more
go
here.
through all 3?
No, we have to vote on these to say if the board is going to support these. So you said you want to know the level of healthcare professionals who are available to diagnose and treat, MD, psychiatrists, so forth. We did have a tour recently of the health facility at Saddleback, but you're asking for ATEP, right?
Colleges and ATEP.
Colleges and ATEP. So you're asking for the entire district?
Correct.
Okay. So we need to have staff come back and give us an estimate of the time that would be involved in that. Yes, Chancellor.
We've talked about that already on all 3, so maybe I can mention the 3 now.
Okay.
This first one, the Trustee Jamal just mentioned, we think we could come back at the February meeting with a report on that one. And I believe that it's the one on partnerships would be the following month.
Can we just take them one at a time?
Sure.
Because
Okay. All right.
how much staff time are we talking about for this one?
The first one will take some, but it's not onerous. I think we can do that okay.
Okay.
The other 2 will take longer, and that's why we're asking for more time.
Okay. And it's possible that these don't need to be done simultaneously. We can't
No.
tie the staff up with these special reports. So can we vote on the first one then? Moved by Trustee Lang and seconded by Trustee Wright. Let's all vote by machine, I believe. Okay. Okay. Is it not working? No. Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Okay. The student is absent, and it passed unanimously. All right. Let's start with the next report you asked for.
Okay. Madam President, the second request for report is in the area of business partnerships, which is of greatest interest to me, and I'm sure of everyone in the room here. And what I'm requesting is the status of the current partnerships between the colleges, including ATEP and the business community. What I'm looking for is a brief summary describing the nature of the partnership, roles and responsibilities, and any funding involved, including grants, would like the report to include the current process at all campuses to reach out to the employer community. And when I say employers, obviously we mean businesses, but there are other employers who are either government-related or quasi-governments who may be involved in the area of CTE. And what are the processes at all the campuses to establish partnerships with the district, with employers?
Okay.
That's the second request.
That's the second request. So I'll let the Chancellor talk about the amount of time that might be involved in this.
Okay, this one, President's checking me if I'm wrong. I think we think that we can have that done in the March meeting. The month, first one would be the mental health, and the second one would be partnerships. Correct? Okay.
Trustee, okay, right?
Right. I just know, too, from past experience that these last two are going to take some time. Particularly this one's going to take some time. And the last one I know is going to take probably several months.
Right.
I just know from past experiences, Saddleback seems to have the lion's share of CTE, and I know IVC has some, but
right.
These are pretty rigorous reports.
Well, and there's sort of an assumption in this second report that we're going to want to establish partnerships with all of these particular businesses, and that may not be the case. So they would that would have to be fleshed out, I guess, in the process of the report. And so, all right, do I have, yes, Trustee Lang.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that concerns me is, again, for example, of this one, the sheer
The mic on?
Sheer volume of information that's likely to come back. I know just about on every agenda item we have, for example, a list of agreements that we have with different kinds of partnerships in the community. Right. Typically that's many pages long.
Right.
So I guess, I guess what I'm interested in better understanding is where we want to go with this. We are a community college, so part of our mission is we are going to establish relationships with a lot of different organizations in the community. I'm just not sure how we're going to use this information to evaluate the level of involvement or progress or where we're going with this.
Well, it seems to me, okay, yeah, just let me jump in here for a minute and then you can respond, that much of this exists. We do have partnerships. We do have grants. We do have many companies we're involved in. And I think that would be the start before you start looking at possible new ones. So I'm wondering if it shouldn't be scaled back to have staff who are aware. We have, we have contracts with, I don't know, Coca-Cola, who does the drink machines, and the partnerships, not the partnerships, but business relationships with the people who run the food concession, and we have grants from any number of different, who is it that does the auto title click? I mean, lots and lots of these things exist. So that perhaps is, I think, what needs to be fleshed out first, and that can be done with staff simply meeting together with you individually, but go ahead, Mr. Chimchball.
Madam President, I agree with you, and I think the nature of the request is that. The idea is to really take an inventory of what we have currently and to understand where we are with the underlying assumption, which I think probably we all agree, that there is room for growth and there is room to develop new partnerships. But that's not part of this request. The idea is to understand what we currently have, and then what is the process, not to do the outreach, but what is the process to do the outreach, so we understand what will take place once we move forward to establish new partnerships and with industry and with business. So that's the idea. So I think I'm agreeing with you, and I think that's the nature of this request. It's not mandating that new outreach take place yet.
Right. Is this something, though, I'm wondering that maybe we could maybe table for a meeting or so, and you could sit down with the staff, both at the district and the various campuses, to get a feel for all of this on your own before we go beyond that level. Bob Cosgrove.
Thank you. This is not just a staff issue. This would be a faculty issue because department chairs would be the ones, particularly in the CTE programs, that would be primarily responsible and knowledgeable about this. So that's taking time for them.
Okay. So, any other questions or comments from the board? And what would we like to do with this? Chancellor?
Yeah, I think the request is okay. It's something that's of interest to Trustee Jamal, and I think that in a 2-month period of time that they can gather information about these partnerships and come back to the board.
I just add a couple cents. First, I think you're correct, Chancellor. On this one in particular, and I think Trustee Wright was going the right direction on the next one, which is much more involved, I might say. This one, it's really gathering data from each of our individual programs. And each of those, so it's not the same people gathering the data. It's each of the, like Dr. Cosgrove said, department chairs, deans, and other people involved in economic and workforce development would be able to all contribute. But each program is going to have their own information coming forward. So it's not one person collecting all of it, in other words. So I think it's reasonable in 2 months that we could put together a worthwhile report to support the request.
Okay.
I think based on that information that it's doable, it's not overwhelming, and that it's informational only, I will move to approve this request.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Milchecker. Seeing no one wishing to speak, let's vote on the item. Okay, carries unanimously with student trustee absent. All right, now the third report. So you would like to talk to us about this?
So I'll just stay on a roll, I guess. Just happened that they all fell in one fell swoop, all three of them. This request is related to Career Technical Education certificate programs, which is a more involved request, but I believe absolutely critical. And I'm requesting a report that includes the identity and number of CTE programs offered by our colleges. The report should include the number of students taking the programs FTES generated and the number of students who receive certificates by program for each of the past 3 years. I'm not going to read the whole request, Madam President, but some of the things in the report would be what process is used to evaluate the CTE programs to determine if they are fulfilling regional training needs or are no longer viable and not meeting community needs. The report should include the non-performing programs and how are they discontinued to allow for budget funds to be used to provide for other programs. How many programs, for example, have been discontinued over the past 10 years? I'm interested to know what the CTE FTS generated by each of our colleges is compared to the other colleges in our county and how we compare it to the rest of the state. And then finally, which I think is really important, to the extent that the CTE programs lead to either a new job, a sustainable job, or employment that advances a career in their current job. It is a more involved request, but I think it will provide us useful guidance on how we're using our funding in the area of CTE, which is gathering, rightly so, a lot of attention locally, statewide, and at the national level.
There are some reports that do a lot of this from a state level and demonstrate the benefit dollar-wise of a community college education. And I'm wondering if you would like to look at those with staff to sort of flesh out, because a lot of that's in that report, and it is broken down by campuses. I recall hearing these reports, so I'm aware that this does exist, and I'm just wondering if you have taken the opportunity to look at resources that are there already.
Well, I've looked at some of the resources. I'm fairly new as a trustee, but I have looked at some of the reports at the state level and even the national level. But I think the focus here is really was to be on our district and to figure out, are the CTE programs working? And if they're not working and they're not performing at the level that they should be, then there may be an opportunity to use the funds more efficiently that will provide better value to the students and lead to generating jobs or creating or sustainable employment. And I think the process by which the district undertakes the, albeit sometimes painful, discontinuance of a program. I don't know that that's the case yet. I'm not prejudging what this would end up revealing, but I think it's important that we see that information. If there is duplicative information, then I'd like to hear from the administration. If there is, I don't think there is, but if there is, then that should be taken into context
I'm
of this
pretty
request.
sure there is. I'd like to hear from our two presidents and from, yes. Is this not true? There is information on this from either the state level, by district, and by campus.
Yes, there's several data sources, but the way that I have heard this is that we're really looking at basically an evaluation of our CTE programs in terms of their performance. We do know that the state is calling for a refocusing on our CTE to make sure that they are relevant to jobs, and that when we develop a new career technical education program, that there's definitely a landing place for the students that go through that in terms of economic development. So I think that kind of information we have, and
right.
we could compile it, and I think it'd be worthwhile to see what the results are.
Trustee Pendergast, and then I'll get to you, Ms. Meyer.
Yeah, I thought kind of along the same lines of what you're thinking. My recollection is some of this is being called for as part of the Student Success Task Force, is that we're supposed to be doing this already. So I think it, in that sense, it might be easy to do because we're supposed to be doing it already. And in that sense, I think it's good.
Okay, Kathy Smidler.
Hi. I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that this is an ongoing, perpetually ongoing process at the colleges and at the district. That every CTE program is required to have an advisory board. It's required to monitor the need for that program in the general community and its success in the community. So these are ongoing processes, perpetually ongoing. Each college has processes in place for discontinuance of programs if it's deemed that the program is costing money that without great effect. So I suspect that a report can be put together with the caveat, of course, that as soon as the report is written, it's outdated because this is an ongoing process. And I think that needs to be borne in mind when any such report is put together and when it's read. Putting it together is going to require the work of lots and lots of people at every level, faculty, staff at the colleges, staff at the district. It's a pretty major affair to put it together for all of the CTE programs. Makes much more, even though each program is keeping track of itself.
Trustee Jay.
Yes, I guess my concern is, well, we have over 300 of these programs. That's gigantic. It's huge. And I think that we can get in over our heads just stirring the pot here and working with all of those. I think we ought to really, I would think it wouldn't be a few months project, but could be years and years. You can't imagine how hard advisory councils are to put together and to keep them together. So I'm a little reluctant to do too much too soon. The need for data is out there, there's no question. But it seems to me that would, just tracking it down data-wise and how these programs stand, a lot of this stuff you're asking for, Jamal, a lot of this, information on these programs, like how often, are they really there? Are they existent? Are they running students through them right now or not? So I don't know what the answer is, but I am saying that it's a huge task. It's gigantic.
Chancellor, and then I'll recognize you, Trustee Jamal.
As has been mentioned, CTE is an area that the state is really emphasizing. and one that we need to take seriously. And for instance, at Saddleback College, we have over 100 programs. Well, we ought to know if those programs are successful. How many students are they generating? How many certificates come out of that? Is it worthwhile doing 100, or would we be better off doing 30 really well if the others aren't doing so well? I don't know the answer of what will come out of the research, but I think that we ought to have a rigorous look at what we're doing. It's been mentioned that there are some reports, and I think there are some reports, and that'll just make it easier to present the information. You can just turn it in. But the advantage of that is that then we can look at how we're doing compared to some of the other districts. Are we doing really well, or are we not? Right now, we don't know that. At least as a board, you don't know that.
That's true.
Trustee Jamal.
Well, I
Don't have that much more to add, Madam President. I'm sensitive to the complications of potentially putting together an analysis of the CTE programs at the colleges and ATEP. But I do think the information will be of great value to us as a board and to the district. I think there are some things in here that could be answered in a few days. Some take much longer. We should know how many programs have been added over the last 10 years. That shouldn't be a difficult task to achieve. And how many have been discontinued over the past 10 years. I mean, some of the questions in here could be answered fairly quickly. Some are more involved because I know they involve various departments and faculty. But I would think we would find it useful as a board. As Trustee Prendergast said, I think information, some of it's even required from the state. So I'd like to see the report approved. Thank you.
Trustee Wright.
Well, the thing I'd like to suggest is that maybe we wait and see and have the presidents come back to us and see how much time it would take to put together a report like this. Because I know it's going to take time. I would say it would take towards the end of the semester. School's starting right now. Faculty are busy. Staffs are busy.
Are you suggesting a motion to table, or is that what you want?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and would you like to make it more specific as to?
I move to table this at this time.
I'll second that.
Okay. So with that, we have to vote on the motion to table. So you didn't want to make it specific to 2 months or something, just, all right, table. Okay. All in favor? Okay, so the motion carries 4-3 with Trustee Jamal, Milchiker, and Lang voting no and student absent. So it will be tabled, but doesn't mean you cannot bring it back, and it isn't something of value. So let's get through the first two reports and see how much time that's going to take our staff, and then how we can accommodate it later on if we come back. All right, we'll move now to discussion items. 4.1, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College Student Success Task Force Recommendations. Number 4.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Schmeidler, President of the IVC Academic Senate. Excuse me. I can't get the mouse to work. Oh, there's a way. I forget. Thank you. And I'm here just to introduce our group here. Thank you. To talk about the Student Success Task Force recommendation 4.0 and 4.1. I'll let them each introduce themselves since they have to anyway. And I'd just like to say that I'm speaking for Bob Cosgrove and myself, for both Academic Senate presidents, to not just introduce these people to you, but to point out that we have from each college, an administrator, and a faculty member. So a group of 4 working together, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with them, and most especially seeing them work with each other.
Thank you. I'm Kathy Worley, Dean of Academic Programs at IVC. Recommendation 4 had essentially one bullet, and that is that the highest priority for course offerings be given to credit and non-credit courses that advance students' academic progress in the areas of basic skills, ESL, career technical education, degree and certificate attainment, and transfer, all in the context of labor market and economic development needs of the community. We know from a lot of data and research that there are roadblocks to successful completion. Early in a student's course of study, they run into a lot of risk. Factors like not taking math and writing courses early, introductory major classes where they may not be very well directed or have a good sense of what they want to do when they finish, not taking course advisories to heart, because their advisory students are not mandated or kept out of classes by not meeting them. And then there's a length of time to complete basic skills courses if a student assesses at a low level. And then at the very end of the study, students are also at some risk because capstone classes and specialty majors classes often have low enrollment, so they're at risk of being canceled, and they're offered with lower frequency.
I'm Don Boucher, the Acting Vice President for Instruction, Saddleback College. In order to have an alignment of courses, we have to have a coordination, and that coordination also requires cooperation. And as you can see on this slide, it takes a district to raise a student, and we're looking at faculty, administration from both colleges to help us align the courses. Now, alignment comes in many flavors. You can have alignment within a college. And if it's within the college, you'll have between and among programs and between and among departments. And then we also have the alignment that can take place between colleges within a district. And extending that further, you can have alignment between and among community colleges. Oftentimes, this is referred to as a regional program or regionalization. We can also have alignment between colleges and our feeder schools. We now have programs at both schools in which we're reaching down to our feeder high schools. And then, of course, between and among the colleges and our transfer institutions. What we're already doing, we're coordinating scheduling within a college. For example, we have classes with few sections offered at various times. We'll have maybe a section in the day, one in the evening, or offering classes on weekends, evenings, maybe to accommodate student service needs. We also allocate funding to support high demand classes. As we see the demand within the enrollment period, we're able to offer additional sections, whether they're on campus or online. We're also experimenting with accelerated basic skills courses. And then, of course, reviewing alignment of levels of courses, making the curriculum adjustments as appropriate.
That's okay. Hey there, I'm Diana Hurlbut. I'm the curriculum chair at Irvine Valley College. So I'm just going to add to this slide. Experimenting with accelerated basic skills. What we're doing at IVC is we're combining some of the basic skills like writing 301 and writing 201. And that helps the kids in writing 301 get ready for 201. So it's like an encouragement. And then on reviewing the levels, the alignment of levels of courses. So let's say you have a progression of skills of courses. I don't know, like A, B, C, and D, that the student learning outcomes in A will feed into the student learning outcomes of B that would feed into student learning outcomes of C, so that they have a true completion and mastery in a certain course or a certain set of courses. The other thing we're doing between the campuses is that we're just trying to improve our coordination between curriculum. Does one course here at IVC match another course at Saddleback and so forth? And so our curriculum committees review those courses and vote on that and say what works, what doesn't work. So we're doing that. And then the options that are being explored, this is what is coming up. And so what we're proposing to you here is things that we're looking at, and some of these things we're still waiting for guidelines from the state. And so in the scheduling coordination between the colleges, we're creating 2 to 3 year schedule plans for each department. And with that in mind, now we can start to see how our courses are fitting together and anticipating students' needs. And like, when are they going to have to take that capstone course? And are we lining it up correctly so they can easily get there? If we do have same courses offered at both colleges, maybe offer them in spring semester versus fall so they don't both land in the same semester. And then if the courses have multiple sections, then we would anticipate coordinating them at different times with the caveat in mind of the driving times between the two schools. Thank you.
Good evening, Chris Flipping Christensen, Saddleback College Curriculum Chair. So when we look at curriculum, we're looking at comparing major and programs among the two colleges. Part of this was motivated by the work of Senate Bill 1440, the Transfer Degree Initiative. And the intent of that degree is not only to streamline the process of transferring to a 4-year institution, but there's talk of making that degree portable, that if I start a degree program at IVC, I should be able to complete it not only within the district, but elsewhere, so that there's no duplication of courses. So what we're working with is not only our local colleges, our sister college, but also looking at ways where we can fulfill needs of other students as those needs come about and as state mandates come about. A lot of the changes are driven by repetition issues. As you know, students are limited within a district to 3 graded attempts. After their 3rd unsuccessful graded attempt at a course, they can no longer take that course within the district. They can take it, but we can't receive apportionment for it. So most districts have adopted a 3 attempt or 3 strike rule. So what we're looking at here is how do we coordinate courses across the colleges, because we've had to work together to identify, does our Math 10 equal IVC's Math 10? And that has opened a dialogue among the colleges to better serve students so that we see where that mesh, that overlap, that agreement exists. We've incorporated that into our curriculum processes. So as part of Tech Review now, where we look at the course and is it meeting the needs of the students, we now address, is this course at Saddleback, in my instance, similar to one at IVC? That assists students in 2 ways. If a course is full at Saddleback, it allows us to direct them to IVC to complete the course and vice versa. So that will benefit students in the long run. Also, we need to determine ways to meet the needs of students with very low-level basic skills courses. There are some students who are in such need of remediation that some of our courses within the academic tracks or leading to the academic tracks may not meet their needs. So we're looking at adult education alternatives, non-credit courses, which we already offer quite a number of, but also supplementing that through community education. We also are looking at creating new certificate and degree programs, not by offering additional courses, but by repackaging the courses that we already offer. One of those might be tiered certificate programs. So rather than having a 60-unit certificate, you have 3 levels of the certificate that not only allows students to complete a certificate that meets their needs, but helps us track student success by having these benchmarks that they meet as they progress through a program. So you might have a beginning, intermediate, and advanced, say, fashion design. We're also looking at research to look at students' educational plans, their assessment results, and other data to determine which courses are needed. As our other presenters have mentioned, there are some courses that predict success in other courses, and coordinating those will be very successful. We also need to look at external scans to inform scheduling, which would include our labor market and economic development needs of the community, make sure we're meeting the demands that our community has for us and our students. We also have to look at regional high school data to predict what demands might be coming down the pipeline. This will require us to look at OSH budget prioritization to make sure that additional sections of those high demand courses are offered and that they're offered in enough numbers that we can ensure completion. We also have to create a functional waitlist system for use not only within the college but between colleges, and I believe our Sherpa initiative through District IT will meet this. Some of the discussion we had as a group is it would be ideal now that we have a list of comparable courses between the two colleges. If an IVC course is full, it would be great if Sherpa could say, hey, we don't have any courses available here at IVC, but there's a course open at Saddleback College which will meet the same need that you can complete your program this semester. So it's that intercollegiate discussion and cooperation that will better serve our students, which actually goes beyond the intent of the Student Success Initiative that we're talking about. We're not only talking about taking what the state is saying we need to do, but make it better than what we have to do. So obviously, if the solution were easy and obvious, anyone could play this game, and we would have already done it. So we would all come to the same and obvious conclusion. So this discussion will continue, and I'm sure we'll have lots of information for you in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for participating, and thank you for your attention. I'm sure that anybody here would be more than happy to answer questions if you have any, but I'd like to again just point out that we've modeled intercollegiate cooperation and cooperation between the administration and the faculty. And it was a joy to listen to these people as they discussed the presentation, generating ideas, brainstorming, becoming increasingly enthusiastic about some of these ideas. Clearly, these ideas for the future may or may not turn out to be feasible. They may or may not turn out to be tenable, but I hope you can see that we're really brainstorming and really looking to improve what the district can offer.
Trustee Milchecker has a question. Comment?
Yes, I have a question and a comment. I know that if the students now take a class more than 3 times, they don't get any statewide apportionment. I just wondered, is this also considered at Saddleback College and at Irvine Valley College and at Saddleback College and at Orange Coast College? Is there some way that the state can track that, or can the student take it at another district, the same class? Also, the second part of that question is, how are we handling that? This problem? Are we allowing our students to take it more than 3 times if they haven't mastered it 3 times? Thank you.
If they drop before the no penalty drop date, so there's no grade mark, it doesn't count as an attempt. So we're talking about graded attempts. So a non-pass, an F, or a D.
Okay.
Or a W, correct. Thank you. We are tracking it locally because it is a district-wide limit of 3, not a college limit, but a district. So last year, and rolling into this year, both curriculum committees and the articulation officers work together to list all of our courses that are comparable. And faculty went through those courses to make sure they are comparable. In some cases, they're not, so the limit doesn't apply. But in all of those cases, like English Comp, where IVC and Saddlebacks is the same, they are limited to 3 within our district. If they exceed the 3, then they will be blocked from registration. That's something District IT has worked on, and they will have to go to another district within California.
But they can go to another district.
They can.
So that's.
And then they'll be limited.
I went to an in-service last semester, I believe, where the counseling department was discussing how to handle this new mandate for our students, because some of our students really have a rough time getting through the classes. So I guess that's a philosophical discussion. Right. Also, I attended Bob Bermucci's wonderful lecture on Sherpa that started at 9:30 and lasted till past noon. It was supposed to last an hour, but we all just couldn't tear ourselves away. And it was a really fascinating discussion about First of all, it was a fascinating discussion about education now and in the future, and how it's changing, and how we're changing, and why the community colleges are such an important part, are so important right now in our communities. But also, I talked how Sherpa works behind the scenes and really will nudge our students that are having such a bad time, such a hard time passing a class over and over and over again, to know when they have to do their work, know that they have to do their work at a certain time, know they should go in for tutoring, our wonderful tutoring session, and really help our students to succeed, which is what we all want. I mean, all of you work together and so fabulously. We want our students to succeed here, so that's our goal. So thank you.
I'd like to add just a little bit to Chris's answer. We've actually made the correspondence, understood the correspondence between the courses at the two colleges for several years, but instituting it in such a way that the computers will keep track of it and keep track of district-wide taking of classes is a relatively new effect. And the other is that there is a way for students to petition to take a course more than those 3 times, but whether that petition is granted or not would depend in large measure on whether that student's seat is needed by someone else, or whether there's room in the class. So if a 4th time repeat would take the place of a 1st time person, the petition probably would not be granted. But if there's an expandable class or there's room in the class, it might be granted. We wouldn't get apportionment, we wouldn't count that, but at least the student would have the possibility of finally succeeding in the class.
And a really good thing is letting these students know that they only have 3 times to complete the class. And of course, as you said, there are extenuating circumstances. People get sick, people die, students have problems, they have economic problems. So, I appreciate us working with our students and helping them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for a wonderful report. Anyone else? Did anyone else have a question or comment? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, our next discussion item is on foundations, and this is Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College talking about developing high-performing foundations, which I think ours are.
No, that's not it. Thank you. Thank you very much. President Padberg, members of the Board of Trustees, if I may be permitted a moment of personal privilege, Nancy, I want to add my condolences and those of my colleagues on your loss.
Thank you so much.
I'm Jim Leach. I'm Director of External Affairs for the Santa Margarita Water District, and I'm pleased to be President of the Saddleback College Foundation. We appreciate the opportunity to be here with our colleagues from IVC and to continue the conversation about how our Saddleback and Irvine Valley College foundations are working to be the most effective we can be at enhancing opportunity for students at our colleges. And I want to take just a moment to identify the folks who are going to be joining in the presentation. IVC, for IVC, Chancellor Gary Portner, and for Saddleback, these are our district representatives, to the foundations. And for Saddleback, Nancy Padberg, of course, the President of the Board of Trustees, who has been an extraordinary member of our board for some time. Pleased to have here our presidents, Dr. Glenn Rockmore from IVC, Dr. Todd Burnett from Saddleback College. Board members from the IVC Foundation include Mr. Bill Crosby, an attorney who is president of the board, and Mr. Chip Corso, Vice President of Advanced Manufacturing, Edwards Life Sciences, on the board of IVC's foundation. And here with me this evening from our Saddleback Foundation is Ms. Donna Varner, the President of Perception, Public Relations, and Special Events, and she is the immediate past president of the foundation. For the next portion of our presentation, I will turn the, in fact, I probably should have done this earlier. I'll turn the podium over to Bill.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here on behalf of the board of the Irvine Valley College Foundation, where I am privileged to serve as president this year. You will be hearing from our eminent president and executive director with regard to proposals that we feel will be beneficial to even better operations and functioning of our foundation. Of course, our primary goal is to increase and enhance our visibility in the community. We have a wonderful product. There's more of a need now than ever to attract qualified students to our school. We do that through scholarships. We do that through partnering with foundations, with the corporate community, and with alumni, among others. And so it's to that end that we hope to raise more funds to be even more successful as our fundraising has increased in recent years. We know we can be more effective and become, along with our partner at Saddleback, some of the highest performing foundations in the state by raising, we hope, millions of dollars per year instead of hundreds of thousands. We recently completed an assessment, or last year, under the leadership of Don Rickner and the Magellan Group, which focus on ways that we could do that. We have fulfilled that. We believe at the retreat we had last year and at our board meetings, we continually focus on how we can better identify our goals and our vision. Both boards need to become fundraising boards even more effectively, that donate substantial amounts of time and money, as well as their volunteer talents and activities. So to that end, we are hopeful that we can add an additional staff member or 2 additional staff members, and it's to that end that other spokesmen will address the need for that in more detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. We are extraordinarily blessed to be led by professionals in the fundraising world, and we have learned from them that there are some basics to being successful in our efforts. We have to have a college president for each of our institutions who's active and committed and provides leadership that focuses both the college and the foundation in support of a very clear mission for students and programs. Secondly, we have to have a very substantial foundation board, as Bill indicated, made up of individuals who understand that mission and are willing to be able to give and get funding for both students and programs. And finally, but of course critical, is, as Bill indicated, the professional staffing of the foundation that is able to give direction and support to both the president of the foundation as well as the board of directors. I understand this slide created some excitement earlier, so I want to talk about it just for a moment. We know from looking at how we move forward as a board in our various meetings, as in any organization, it's vitally important to show how we successfully meet our goals for helping students and advancing programs. Staffing is critical to us. This chart actually shows a fully formed foundation organization that we think would drive financial support from the board and other sources, and also manage the business of the foundation. And this is what we aspire to, because the research we've seen tells us that professional, dedicated staff has a multiplying effect on the amount of funds that actually get raised. A staff of 10, as illustrated here, could facilitate bringing in more than $8 million a year. But again, this chart is aspirational, and based on the resources we have, and we know we'll have to grow to this level of organization, is what I'm trying to get out here. So we look at the priorities of each of our foundations for guidance on this. We believe that any future positions, by the way, in either of our foundations should be funded by our foundations and not from the general funds of either college. Here to talk more about this aspect of our presentation is Dr. Rockmore.
First of all, let me say that we're very fortunate to have both Richard Morley and Don Rickner with us. They are 2 individuals that are highly respected throughout the state. All foundations know them well. They've led those foundations in various roles and organizations. We also recently saw firsthand how well they are known at the national level at the recent statewide case meeting in San Diego. So we are very fortunate. And it was Don Rickner who started with our foundation's reformation and started with our strategic plan. And much of what you're going to hear about tonight is actually included in our strategic plan that was built for our foundation. And that included actually hiring an individual of the caliber of Richard Morley. So what you see here in front of you is really where we are right now. We have been at a fairly low level for a very, very long time. We have often thought that it had to do with the recognition of community colleges as it compares to the K-12 and the kind of foundations that they have, as well as the four-year schools and the kind of foundations that they have. We're kind of caught in the middle. But as it turns out, and what you'll hear about tonight, there's another factor that's absolutely critical in this. So currently we have one director and one senior administrative assistant. Our accounting support is provided on a part-time basis through the college's fiscal services. And we have just now, are right in the process of hiring a full-time development associate for data management, research, and marketing. This is critically important to us because you notice there are differences between the two colleges in just the sheer age. And so those that might be in a planned giving situation at this college might really be in a position to be giving that way. But the average age for our alumni are about 50 years old still. And so we have a ways to go before we're able to really culture that level of giving. So we have to find other ways to do this. Let me say this. We are... as a result, we are not financially in the position that Saddleback is today with some of the donations that they have very recently received. They're absolutely wonderful. So we would plan to go down this path as funds are raised. And like Saddleback will be doing, we will grow our foundation as we're able to do that with raised funds to ease the burden on the general fund. So this is where we are right now. We plan to move right along with this plan, but obviously at a slower pace.
I'd like to ditto what Dr. Rockmore said, and would like to thank our two new executive directors for our foundations, and obviously the presence of our board and our foundations, who have been working tremendously well together in a collaborative basis to really improve not only both of our foundations, but our district as a whole and our community. So thank you very much. With that said, let me talk a little bit about Saddleback's current staffing situation. Currently, right now, we have one director, as you know, Dr. Don Rickner. And then we have 3 part-time positions of only 10, 15, and 25 hours each position, which basically, at best, adds up to one person. We also have a senior accounting specialist, and that person actually handles all the accounting and fiscal matters and really reports to Dr. Carol Hilton. To Carol Hilton, our Vice President of Administrative Services, and over in our business services, because obviously that's the work that she's doing, which is Sherry Wenzel. And then we have before us right now a pending position, which is a Director of Annual Fund and Development Services, which would provide the day-to-day operations, which would then allow the Executive Director to actually go out there and do the hardcore development work that needs to be done and to do what we're talking about today. In fact, that pending position is being committed by our board to be fully funded only by the Foundation Board and would be tied to future funding by the Foundation only. But with that, we want to give you a little bit of background of what's going on kind of at the 100,000-foot level with our public higher educational institutions. First of all, let's look at the Cal State University system. And one of the things we should recognize is that every public university in California that we think of as exceptionally successful in fundraising has accomplished it only in the last 40, 20, and even 10 years. For example, 20 years ago, the CSUs, the entire CSU system, was raising about the same amount of money as right now the community colleges are raising. 20 years ago. Now they have far surpassed us. In fact, in 1992, if you look at the chart, the CSU system was raising combined roughly $105 million, which is where the community colleges combined, the 112 community colleges are today. 20 years later, they're raising $441 million, which is a 4 times increase. So let's look at the UCs. The UCs, only 20 years ago, were raising $282 million, and today they raise $1.6 billion, which is a 5 times increase. So let's diagram, if you look at this chart, the 3 systems together in California. As you can see, the CSU and UC systems have grown approximately 4 to 5 times over the last 20 years, but the community colleges have stayed flat. So what is the difference between the CSUs and the UCs and our community colleges? Well, it's the 3 fundamentals that Bill Crosby had just brought up, and that has to do with the essentials mentioned earlier, which are the main one, commitment to a professional staff, which is the highest discrepancy between the 3 systems. So let's look a little bit about salaries and return. Based on the most complete survey that has been conducted on the California Community College Foundations, in 1 year, just at 1 year time, the top 10 California community colleges raised roughly $33 million with a personnel cost of around $5 million, which equates to approximately 52 or more total staff or over 5 staff per high-performing college. If you look at the and once again, that means each staff member produced about over $650,000, and it was about a cost of $158,000 per $1 million raised. So let's look at it from a high-performing, medium-performing, and a low-performing community college foundation. It's not surprising that the larger staff produces a larger return, but it is also more efficient. First, if you look at the top 10 colleges I mentioned earlier, $33 million, staff of 52, about $650,000 per staff, staffs of roughly 4 to 8 staff members. If you look at the red bar there, shows the medium colleges, and they raise about total about $4.5 million, or about $415,000 per staff, and their staffs are about 2 or 3 people. Then you look at the lower performing colleges, and they only raised about $1.85 million, or about $185 per staff, with less than 2 staff members. So the data is extremely clear. It's very straightforward. The bottom line is there's an exponential return, an increase in fundraising with the larger foundation and personal staffs, no matter how you look at it. And with that, I'd like to hand it back over to Jim Leach.
Our boards, along with our college president staff, recognize the need to play a larger role in funding student success and program expansion. The great news for all of us in this endeavor is that we have college presidents who provide the vision and leadership that we need, and we're asking for and receiving the financial and time commitments that we need from our boards. We're also taking steps to increase our foundation staff appropriately so that they can give us the staff support volunteers actually need. And with your continuing support, we can look forward to making higher education a reality for more students and providing greater support for the outstanding programs that bring them to our colleges. Thank you very much.
We didn't click. And we'll click again.
Any
By chance, does the
questions?
board have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Jamal.
Yes. Thank you for your report. Appreciate it very much. Can I ask, I got a few questions, but I'll ask a couple just to start. How do our foundations compare to the other foundations in Orange County and those around the state? In terms of dollars raised. Sorry.
We would be in the middling level on that last bar chart. We'd be at the level of 2 to 3 staff members, raising about $500,000 a year. In Orange County, you have Orange Coast College, which raises about $4 or $5 million a year. Coastline at about $1 to $2 million. Golden West about the same. Fullerton about $1. Cypress about $1.5. Who did I miss? Santa Ana. They're about 1.5. Pardon me?
Santiago Canyon.
Santiago Canyon. They've eliminated the foundation position.
Okay, thank you.
As of recently.
That was the last one in.
Does that get you where you wanted to go?
Thank you. Perhaps it's been presented before, I assume, the board, but I heard what you said about the nexus between increasing staff and the number of dollars raised, which is, I think we all understand that. Is there a fund development plan or plans that have been put together for by fiscal year, by calendar year for both of the foundations? And is it something, if you have it, if you could share that, that would be appreciated.
Okay, yeah. The Irvine Valley College has a strategic plan that was finished this past year. We have our assessment plan and we have our focus, but we haven't done it on a calendar basis, but we'd be glad to do that.
So thank you, would you say that the main inhibitor to raising additional dollars is the number of staff, or the other factors involved as well? The South Orange County Community College District, for example, is it not as conducive to raising funding as some of the other districts, or is it the issue of staff?
We are in a very good situation for raising funds in South Orange County, especially as Dr. Rockmore said, Saddleback is a little older, so the alums are older. The college has a more secure reputation in the community. That's very important for fundraising. The problem hasn't been where we are. The problem has been the plan to put it together. First, to focus on it. We now have two presidents, each of whom want to focus on growing the foundation. And so that's the first essential, is to have an exciting vision for where you want the college to go, and to look seriously at the foundation as a way to get there, and then to have a board that's serious about doing fundraising. So in the past, we didn't require board members to give or get. Now both foundations are requiring at least $10,000 give or get per year. That's a start. Eventually, we'd like to do more than that. So there are, as we said, three main areas of importance. One is a unity of purpose, to have the entire institution, from the Board of Trustees to all of us, knowing where we're going and how we want to get there. And the second is having that fundraising board to make the connections for us in the community. And then third, the staff to guide and lead and support. So we think we have the first two started. We want to get started on the third one.
Okay. Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah, I listen to this, and I can't help wondering if there isn't a correlation to where our own success is hurting us. We hear great reports from the two presidents about how many people go on to four-year and are successful there, and they're going to get hit up by their foundations as alumni, probably quicker and more likely to do that because they associate with that, maybe because it's the most recent experience they had. So I almost wonder if we almost hurt ourselves by being so good.
No, I don't think so. Do you want to answer that one?
I got a great example here, and I'll use your alma mater or a school you like. UCLA does well because they're successful. USC raises the most money, Harvard, Stanford, et cetera, because they're the most successful. It is absolutely clear the most successful fundraising organizations are the most successful institutions. So actually, it's the complete reverse. The more successful we are, the more money we actually raise. And that's why we have the best demographics to raise money. It's because I believe we have the best students. Our students do great things. We have the best faculty, staff, administrators, and community. So, opposite.
Okay. Did you want to speak? You had your hand up.
Hi, Richard Morley, Irvine Valley College Foundation. Thank you very much for the opportunity. We didn't know very much about community college alumni in terms of hard research data until a dissertation was published by Dr. Lisa Scari. Maybe some of you heard her speak, Trustee Padberg or Wright, in San Diego. It's a big deal. And her conclusions are from a very robust regression analysis PhD dissertation are that community college alumni respond no differently than four-year alumni because of their experiences. They are the same. The difference is we haven't asked them. We just have not asked them.
Oh, asked them.
They don't give because we haven't asked them. We haven't asked them because we've been underperforming and understaffed, and we need to move in that direction, and we are.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Great report. We appreciate it. Okay. We will now move to the consent calendar, and there is one item that we need to pull from the consent calendar because there's some errors in it. 5.6. Do I have any other items being pulled off the consent calendar? What? 5.3 Okay, so we're going to pull 5.3, 5.6. Trustee Pendergast.
Move to approve the consent calendar, pulling 5.3 and 5.6.
Okay, moved by Trustee Pendergast, second by Trustee Lang. Let's vote on the consent calendar. Okay, Trustee Jay, you need to vote. Carries unanimously with one student trustee absent. So we will go to 5.3. Could you put your mic on?
Yes, the only question that I had on 5.3 is I know that as part of the amendment on the coffee cart agreement, we had an indication that if vendor terminated for cause, then the district would have an option to purchase, I think, at 50% of whatever the outstanding vested amount was. Is there a definition? I did not see a definition here of for cause, and I'm wondering if there was one in the original agreement that perhaps I might have missed.
Carol or Deborah, do you know? Yes, there was a definition, and I'm looking at Brandy because she has all the information in her hands.
What are we on, 5.6 or 5.2?
Yes, there is a definition for cause in the original contract. I don't have the original contract with me right now to tell you what that is.
I'm just comforted by the fact that there is one. Thank you.
Okay, is that all? All right, seeing no other comments, let's vote on the item. Oh, I do and make a motion. Moved by Trustee Lang, second by Trustee Wright. Let's vote. Trustee Milchick or Trustee Jay? Carries unanimously with student trustee absent. We'll now go to 5.6, and the corrections are to the Exhibit A. There are revisions to page 4 of 11. Okay, under Saddleback College, Division of Business Science and Economic Development, OCBC membership was added with the amount of $1,666.
You have a replacement page in your that was at your spots.
Yes.
And so you should see that. So with that replacement page,
No, the replacement page we got is for 5.7, not 5.6. We did not get.
Oh, actually, we pulled this because the correction was provided to the board, hard copy, and then it just wasn't posted on public. On the public webpage.
Oh, so it's already in our agenda.
Yeah, it's in your agenda.
Oh, okay.
And basically what it is splitting the membership between the colleges, and it's correcting that information of the splits, but it's not actually adding it.
Okay, so it's page 4 of 11, which is Saddleback College, and page 8 of 11, which is Irvine Valley College, and splitting the cost of the membership between the two.
That is correct.
Moved by Trustee Lang, seconded by Trustee Jay. Let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with student trustee absent. And so 5.7 was not pulled, but yet we had replacement pages.
Yes. It was not pulled because the board received an incorrect page, but the public web page and the actual official agenda was correct.
But the board got the corrected page.
Now you do,
now.
yes.
Okay, with that, we are now at 6.1, and that's the first action item. This is for the design-build agreement.
Yes, I'm asking Executive Director Brandy Delana to provide a brief overview of this item. She has just a very short PowerPoint for this.
Okay, go ahead.
I am not seeing the screen I need to for your PowerPoint to come up. There we go. Great. So tonight I will do three things. I'm going to present you a summary of a presentation that you saw back in March relative to design build, just in summary format. I'll address any questions that you might have remaining for design build, and then I too need to make a correction to your agenda item before we move the recommendation forward. So, that, as I said, last March we discussed design build as a preferred delivery method and a solution for addressing the effects the economy has had on the construction industry in general and on our two colleges in particular. For the last 4 years or so, competition has been fierce and contractors have been underbidding projects, low bid projects, just to get the work. As a result, both general contractors and subcontractors don't have the resources that they need to meet their contract obligations. So both Saddleback and IVC have had projects where the original contractor went to surety or went bankrupt. The project went to surety, and we waited for a 6-month period while there was no construction on the project. Hence, the search for a solution and a determination that design-build-delivery method would address these concerns. This is a diagram that you have previously seen demonstrating the major difference between design bid build and design build. And I've made a few changes since you saw it last to emphasize the contract between the architect and the engineer and who holds that contract. So in the design bid build environment, the owner holds the contract with the architect engineer and then later executes a contract with the general contractor and acts as a conduit for the design information to the general contractor. That happens through the bid documents. You can see in the design build diagram that now the architect holds a contract with the design builder, not with the owner. And so it with that tie between the contractor and the architect, it results in a collaborative project mentality between the architect and the general contractor and acts as a catalyst to a collaborative mentality between all the team members, including the subs. You've seen this graph before also, and I'm just going to pull both of them up as in a side-by-side comparison. On top is design bid build. On the bottom is design build. It demonstrates the chronology of a project from design and through construction, with design on the left side of the graph and the closeout of the construction on the right side. As we progress in the design bid build environment, you see that through the design portion of the work, the owner, the architect, and the engineers are engaged. Only at bid time do the general contractors and the subs become engaged, using again the construction documents. At that time, the general contractors are asking themselves, what were they thinking? Usually in a negative way, but they don't really know why the design exists as it does. In the design build environment, they know why the design exists as it does because they participated in the design process. So district and college staff, the design build consultant, the criteria architect, and legal counsel have spent these last 9 months developing the delivery components and implementing the steps to arrive at our recommendation this evening. The design build selection has been a competitive process. The evaluation team met the public contract code requirements for selection criteria. Those selection criteria are identified in this slide. The top selection criteria for the minimum factors are those that are identified in public contract code. Public contract code also allows districts to add remaining criteria for the remaining percent. And we defined during the selection process a rubric that was employed for the proposal and the interview evaluations. And in this process, as you may have noticed in your agenda items, 18 firms provided us with original responses to our request for qualifications. That is more than is typically involved in a design bid build environment, so we increased the interest in the project by this delivery method. Typically, we will see anywhere from 8 to 13. So 18 was quite a turnout. That just demonstrates again that there was a selection, competitive selection process here. Real summary format for you, but I'm here now to answer any questions that you might have.
Trustee Lang, do you have a question?
Yes. So I could tell from the scoring that was indicated on this agenda item that the actual company that we selected under this process wound up being actually the highest bid of the three.
Thank you.
And
Correct.
just curious about what kind of a differential that looks like.
To put us all on the same page, if you'll look in your agenda item under Exhibit C, the first page of Exhibit C, I just want to make sure you're all there. Are we good? Okay. So the first page of Exhibit C is what Trustee Lang is referencing, in that the lowest points went to Swinerton, who was the chosen firm relative to price. That helps us understand that their price was higher than anyone else's. If we turn the page, we'll see the price sheet for McCarthy. The next page...
I'm sorry, I missed that. Yep, thank you.
Oh, that's fine. This is exactly the place where I wanted to make the correction, so it was a perfect question.
Okay,
The
good.
next page identifies the price sheet as being Pencow's, and it's actually Swinerton's price sheet.
Yeah.
And the last page says it's Swinerton, it's Pencow's. So you will see that the hard cost on the sheet identified as Pencow, that if you wouldn't mind, just cross that out and write the word Swinerton. Those hard costs are identified at $6,300,000 approximately. Others provided us with hard costs that were greater than that. And what we mean by hard costs are the actual dollars that will go into the building, that will become bricks and mortar, per se. So in our evaluation process, we not only evaluated price, but we evaluated other categories. Again, turning back to the page 1 of Exhibit C, technical expertise, life cycle cost, skilled labor force, safety record, management plan, and interviews. When we took all of those categories together and totaled the points, we had Swinerton on top with the majority of the points. And then additionally, we discussed with Swinerton why did they think their price might be so much less than the other teams. We wanted to understand how we could maybe get a more even comparison in the future, always working toward improvement. They indicated that because of the way that it's called BIM standards, Building Information Modeling. That is a software that is used to design buildings in 3 dimensions. And there are different levels of three-dimensional documents that can be developed. And Swinerton indicated they will be developing theirs to a higher level than were requested in our specifications, thereby giving us a more complete set of documents earlier. So fewer mistakes will be made later on down the line. Those costs are reflected up in their top number, and the other proposers reflected the cost for the BIM modeling in their hard costs. So this is a really rough estimate, but about $300,000 worth of costs apply toward that process, making it more of an even number system than you see.
Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah, I'm just following along there. I thought I was, and you were saying that on Exhibit C, the
Yes.
first page,
Yes.
that Swinerton got a score of 16
Yes.
on the price, which indicate it was the highest price. Yet you just pointed out by having us switch the names that it was the lowest hard cost of the 3.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
The highest cost related to soft costs, which would their fee, their cost for doing
Got
the
it.
work for us.
Okay. There.
Sorry for the
Sorry,
confusion.
can I add?
Go ahead.
Okay, and just for clarification, this is the IVC, which building?
IVC A400, it is the new social and behavioral sciences and language project, humanities.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, Trustee Wright.
And when is this going to be started, or when is this supposed to take place?
The design build process is interesting in that we can engage the contractor immediately upon your approval. Tomorrow, we will execute the contract if we receive approval, and we have meetings set up for February 2nd for our kickoff. So we're ready to go.
Trustee Milcheck, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But we still have the life sciences building that's not going to be finished for a while.
That's correct. We we do work on projects in parallel with other projects.
Trustee Milchecker.
Yeah, I just have a question. I know that our science building here at Saddleback College was financed in is a different. What is the difference between the way that building is the structure of that and this structure, just briefly.
It's a very good question. You're talking about the delivery method for the contract, I believe.
Science building here at
Yes.
Saddleback College, right.
So, backing up a step, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, the design, bid, build, delivery method is broken. Low bid contractors underbidding to get the work. So we recognize that as a problem, but we recognized it as a problem here at Saddleback College related to the sciences building after the design was complete. So we didn't have an opportunity to engage the designer and the contractor together because the design was finished. So we used an alternate delivery method called leaseback, and that allows for us to engage the contractor as a team player and takes the project out of the low bid environment. Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, just to move approval of the item.
A second, do you hear? Second by Trustee Prendergast. I see no one else wishing to speak. Let's vote. Carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask that we take a very brief break for about 5 minutes and come back. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, we'll come to order. We're back. Okay. And Trustee Jay will be joining us momentarily. Here he comes. Okay, so we're now at item 6.2, which is CCCT Board of Directors nominations. And this comes to us once a year. If anyone is interested in being nominated, you have to go through a vote throughout the whole state. That's what we're here. It doesn't have to be someone from our board. It can be from any other board if you happen to know of another board member on another college board. So with that, it's open. Does anyone want to make a recommendation or nominate someone? Trustee Lang.
Well, I just wanted to find out whether there were any other, one of our board members that were interested in running for triple CT.
Okay.
Is anyone interested in that?
Well, he asked the question. If anyone is interested, raise your hand, please. That way we can control the... All right, I don't think so. Okay. We're all pretty busy people as it is. So is there anyone from another board that anyone wants to... Okay, so I think we can let this item go then. All right, let's move on to 6.3. This is board policy revisions, and the Chancellor recommends that the board discuss and approve the policies Exhibit A through F, and the board policy numbers are at the top there. Moved by Trustee Lang and Trustee Wright, seconded. Any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with student trustee absent. 6.4, this is sabbatical recommendations, and the Chancellor recommends the board approve the recommended faculty members listed in Exhibit A for bonded sabbatical leave during the 2013-2014 academic year.
So moved.
Trustee Jay moved it.
Second.
Second by Trustee Jamal. Questions or comments? Seeing none, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with student trustee absent. 6.4, this is academic personnel actions. Do we have any corrections? Ms. Lorch? No? Okay. So let's have a motion, please. And
So moved.
Second.
moved by Trustee Jamal, second by Trustee Milchecker. See no one wishing to comment. Let's vote. Matter carries unanimously with student trustee absent. Now at 6.6, that's classified personnel actions. Are we having any corrections on this one? All right, very good. Trustee Lang moved, Trustee Wright seconded. Seeing no one wishing to comment, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with student trustee absent. So we are now at 7.1. This is information about speakers at both Saddleback. This is an information item only, Saddleback and Irvine Valley College. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll go to 7.2. This is basic aid report. It's a pretty standard report. Don't believe it has changed much. Is that right?
No changes since December.
Okay, very good. No comments or questions. We'll go to 7.3, Facilities Plan Status Report. Seeing, is there much of a change here? I don't see.
Just a few updates on some of the projects as indicated in italics.
Okay, in italics. All right, seeing no comments or questions, we'll go to 7.4, another information item, monthly financial status report. No comments or questions. 7.5, retiree trust fund report. Okay, seeing no comments or questions, let's go to 8, which is the reports by our shared governance. And our first shared governance report will come from the Saddleback College Academic Senate.
Thank you. I gave you earlier a picture of the Great Teachers Seminar for 2013 during in-service last week for 3 days. And I just wanted to read a very short email to you that I received. Dear Bob and Bruce, Bruce is one of our vice presidents in the Senate. This is an easy email to write. I recently attended the Great Teachers Seminar at the UCLA Conference Center at Lake Arrowhead. As a part-time English faculty member, I greatly appreciated the opportunity to engage in pedagogical learning and collaborative work with fellow part-time and full-time faculty in nearly all of our disciplines at Saddleback. 3 days of collaborative work and sessions were extremely beneficial to me. I was already planning to institute a number of instructional improvements in my English 1A classes, but by working with others, I gained additional insight, which will strengthen the learning outcomes for the students in these classes. Our facilitators, Mike Long and Maureen Smith, did an amazing job. I was able to carpool to the event with Gary Luke, so I also got some additional information about how the program developed and how it's benefited faculty at Saddleback for a very long time. The facilitators reminded us at the end of the seminar that the funds that enabled us to participate were provided by the Academic Senate. I know that funds are always extremely limited and there are many different priorities that all have great importance. I just wanted to let you know that I was very appreciative of the opportunity for this type of in-service learning and the ability to work collaboratively with other faculty members. Please accept my heartfelt thanks and consider this a recommendation for a continuation of the Great Teachers Seminar.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. And from the Faculty Association.
Good evening. I don't have a report, but on behalf of the association, I would like to extend condolences to Trustee Padberg.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank Trustee Prendergast and Trustee Milchecker for taking time to come to the Faculty Association luncheon and program during Flex Week.
Okay, great. And now we are at Irvine Valley College Academic Senate.
I also would like to extend our condolences, my own personal and on behalf of the college.
Thank you.
To you. Today, of course, is the first day of classes, so the faculty have been working off campus for the last several weeks. We have been working.
Could you speak a little more into the mic?
I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay, thanks.
We have been working, although off campus. Flex Week was well attended at IVC, and we appreciate also Marcia's Milchicker's attendance, and other members of the district services that came up. Of course, Gary came and spoke, and Bob Ramucci came and attended, and also gave some presentations during our Flex Week, and we appreciate input from district services as well. It continues to be a pleasure working with people from both colleges and district services. And I mention this and repeat it so often for several reasons that I'd like to point out. Partly because this is such a improvement that I've seen since the last time that I participated in district-wide stuff, activities. And it's such a notable improvement that I think it bears repeating. And also because we continue to work on answering the accreditation recommendations about civility and mutual respect. And so I think it bears repeating that I am seeing a lot of mutual respect and a lot of very cooperative and collaborative working, again, between the two colleges and between the colleges and district services. So that's why I keep repeating it. Part of our Flex Week activities included the Student Success Summit, which was a success, in part because we did have presenters from both colleges, which is wonderful, as well as, of course, attendees from both colleges. Even though Saddleback was having a lot of Flex activities on the same day, we still saw people from Saddleback come up. And we've now had 2 successful summits, one not during Flex Week and one during Flex Week. And over the ensuing months as we plan next year, I'm sure we'll be trying to plan next year's summits so that they work out best for both colleges. But I think we'll be continuing to try to have these intercollegiate summits, as we say. And there was a wide variety of presentations and workshops, and I think that it was very successful. Thank you.
Very good. And from Vice Chancellor of Technology and Learning, Randy Peoples at APEB.
Thank you very much. And also my condolences to Glenn Rockmore and to you, Nancy.
Thank you.
An update on a few items at ATEP. Regarding the City of Tustin, negotiations and meetings continue with the City of Tustin for possible land exchanges and a comprehensive development agreement. And as you know, we've approved the required SEQA process to begin, and we're developing that to support those efforts. Regarding the County of Orange, an agreement for the exchange of land, about 10 acres with the County of Orange, is now being held in escrow, and that will be held until we can close simultaneously with the City of Tustin and the County of Orange for the land exchanges. This exchange, of course, will enhance our overall land configuration for future use. Demolition update. With all the above-ground building structures demolished and debris removed from the ATEP site, it looks quite a bit different. Our next step is to complete the demolition of what we call the in-ground structures, which include buildings, basements, floors, roads, and sidewalks. While the plans for the demolitions are complete, we're in the process now waiting for the Department of the Navy to approve those plans so we can move forward. So we're waiting for that. Just a note of the approximate 68 acres of land we have at ATEP, a subparcel of about 30 acres is still on a what we call a lease agreement until the Department of the Navy can transfer that title of the property to the district. It's guaranteed to transfer, but we just don't know when. The transfer could occur this year depending on the Department of the Navy and the California Department of Toxic Substance Control as they work to come to an agreement on the transfer criteria, which is related to potential institutional environmental controls on the land. So we're looking forward to those decisions, we hope, being made in the next few months that might actually transfer within the year. But we've said that before, too. An important note regarding funding. The district has been pursuing potential construction funding through the federal New Markets Tax Credit, or program. Recently, the implementation of the 2010 U.S. Census data changed the status of the ATEP Tustin property so that we no longer qualify for this funding. The district is now working to influence initiation of a federal tax law, so this could include, so this funding could include closed military bases, as we have at ATEP, which might then again requalify us for New Market Tax Credit funding. Anyway, this will be an ongoing legislative lobbying effort this year as we try to change that legislation to open that avenue for funding again. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor of Technology, Bob Ramucci.
2 items. We take advantage of the holiday break to perform maintenance duties, and so we finished the Unified Communications switchover. What Unified Communications is, when someone calls your Cisco work phone, you can now listen to, manage, and delete those messages via your email on your mobile devices, your phones, your tablets, and your laptops. One other thing, a couple of weeks ago, I co-chaired a national meeting on academic analytics at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay, thank you very much. And our Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, Teddy Lort, sitting in for
That's right, Dr.
Okay.
David Bouguet,
Right.
who is recovering, with each and every day. All right. I would say that we're in full swing now in human resources of full-time faculty recruitment. HR is busily recruiting for 37 classified retiree replacement positions, 18 full-time faculty position, and 1 administrator position, the Vice President of Instruction at Saddleback College. Also, the job fair, the California Community College Registry Job Fair in LA at the West End off of Century Boulevard is this Saturday from 9 to 4. We'll miss you, Jim. 9 to 4, and that's January 26th, and I have some flyers if you're interested.
Okay, thank you. And our Vice Chancellor of Business Services, Deborah Fitzsimmons.
Yes. Chancellor Portner already outlined that the governor's budget proposal was very positive compared to past years. I wanted to add just a couple highlights that I thought would be important for the board and for the public to know. This balanced budget was the first time that we've had one without a structural deficit since fiscal year 2007 and 2008. So that's important to note. As it relates to the California Community College system budget, there are a couple important things to note. There's going to be $315.7 million allocated to shift adult education from the K through 12s to the CCCs, and we don't have information on how this is going to be implemented yet. This is going to be done at the system level, but they're discussing that it perhaps might be a categorical program. And Chancellor wanted me to note that just to remind us that the K through 12s was underfunded at the point when it was adult education at the K through 12s, and they actually funded the CCCs less than that amount, probably by a third. So this will be an interesting discussion to see how adult educations and the future of adult education is handled by the CCCs. $197 million is unassigned for apportionment increase, and what we mean by unassigned is that's a 3.7% increase that could be in the form of either COLA, FTS restoration, or growth, or categorical restoration. So there's some discussions at the system level between a variety of sectors how to sort of implement the 3.7% increase, but more than likely it's going to be sort of splitting the baby in half, so to speak. It's probably going to be a combination of COLA, some restoration growth, and categorical. So it's going to be some accommodations to sort of satisfy various parties. And as we get more information, we'll share that with you. There's a $49.5 million that's being allocated new this year to the CCCs for energy efficient funds from Prop 39. And this is expected this year to be distributed by FTS for projects rather than by a competitive proposal project process, because there's not really enough time for that competitive proposal process to take place. So that could very well benefit us in a sense that we could get additional up to $1.2 million for our district just by FTS calculations alone. So again, as we get more information on this, we'll share that. So that's really good news there for our facilities folks. We have a continuation of that mandated block grant for mandated costs that we saw this year that helped our budget by approximately $800,000. So that's going to continue one time again this year. So that's good news. And there's $16.9 million being allocated for online education, and it's going to be a centrally coordinated funds that I'm sure that Vice Chancellor Bermucci will share as they start to work out the logistics on those funds as well. Lastly, there's some non-monetary proposals that are going to impact us, particularly the 90-unit cap on state-funded classes. I think you've probably heard about that and how that's going to be implemented, as well as our BOG waiver students, which we have a good portion of, are now required to submit a FAFSA application, and they didn't have to do that process previously. So that's going to be interesting to see how that's going to be implemented as well. And how so a lot of these new initiatives, including the budget language to change funding from an outcomes-based to from our current system, is also going to take, in that particular case, several years to implement. And it's interesting to see the impact to the various districts across the state. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Our President of IBC Classified Senate, Dennis Gordon.
Thank you. First, I'd like to personally and on behalf of the Irvine Valley College Classified Senate offer my condolences to you, Nancy, and to President Rockmore. I'd also like to thank Trustee Milchecker and, of course, Chancellor Portner for coming to the President's opening session. That was great of you to be there. It was fantastic. We had great Flex Week activities, of course. Chief Will Glenn gave a fantastic presentation on active shooter on campus, we had a video, and we probably had about 100 of our staff and faculty there, so that was a great presentation. I learned a lot from it, and that's how I got to chase some bad guys on campus last week. So thank you again.
All right, and our CSEA President, Russell Hamilton.
Oh, thank you, President Padberg. First off, President Padberg, President Rockmore, Classified would like to take and send along their condolences from CSEA. To the Board of Trustees, President Padberg, Chancellor Portner, and the employees of the South Orange County Community College District. In December of this last year, CSEA Chapter 586 held its annual election of officers. This year, there are some new faces on the executive board, and at this time I'd like to announce the new executive board members to you at this time. Chief Publicity Officer Amy Stevens of Saddleback College, Secretary Heather Whitecotton of Irvine Valley College, Treasurer Christian Felly of District Services, Chief Job Steward Polly Sundin of Irvine Valley College, Second Vice President Paul Bonkowski of Saddleback College, First Vice President Scott Ferguson Green of Saddleback College, and as President myself, Russell Hamilton of Saddleback College. We at CSEA are happy to see the passage of Proposition 30 and the possible funding that will help to re-stimulate our economy and much needed support of our district and its students. As President, I look forward to working with all the SOCCCD family and to help keep and acquire the highest quality employees so as to deliver the highest quality of education that our district has always been known for giving. As we go forward through the next year, we'll experience some difficulties. As any family does, we will all work together and we will solve these issues to keep SOCCD the finest district to be an employee of in the state of California. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Trustee Pendergast would like to speak.
Yeah, at this time I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Tom Padberg and Cass Rockmore and in their honor.
Thank you very much. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming.